In this video, I built Helldivers 2 in LEGO. Helldivers 2 is a popular third-person shooter game where you fight against automatons and bugs for democracy. In this video, I just built the automatons, but if this video does well and you guys enjoy it, I will do a part 2 where I build the bugs as well. I built 4 Helldivers, 3 automatons, 4 guns, and some other things. So make sure you stick around all the way through this video so you can see every single one. Really quickly, before we jump into these builds, make sure that you're subscribed, because I've got a lot of more great mock videos in the future. And let's start off with the actual Helldiver minifigures themselves. And here they are. Like I said, I built 4 of them in 3 different colors. We've got 2 black ones, a white one, and then a blue armored one. Let's take a look at each of these one by one. Starting off, we've got this one. He's kind of just based off of the default and kind of like main Helldiver that is in the game. He's got this really nice helmet along with a fully black visor. I gave him a black cape. I also gave him these really nice shoulder pads. And this torso is from the bounty hunter from one of the CMF series. And then these legs are actually from Boba Fett from the Book of Boba Fett and Mandalorian sets, which I think just fits perfect. Both of these pieces have a hint of yellow in them, which looks just like the actual characters in game. And this is what it looks like just behind the cape there. I think this one turned out really nice. Now let's look at the white one. This is one of my favorites. I really like how well the torso flows into the legs, even though they aren't even part of the same minifigure. The torso is from a Rogue One set. I believe they're like the tank troopers, and the legs are from a snow trooper. The helmet is just your kind of just average like white helmet, and there's just a black face under there. Again, I've got that black visor. I've got this gray cape, and that's what it looks like under. But he looks really good. But let's move on to my favorite one, which is the blue Helldiver. I used a Mandalorian torso and legs, both from different Mandalorians, but they work very well together. And then this chest piece is actually from Paz Vizsla from the Mandalorian sets. This helmet is the same helmet mold as that first Helldiver, this time in just dark blue. Yet again, just a black face with a black visor. And I actually use Saw Gerrera's cape because it's a nice kind of detailed cape that actually has some different colors on it. And that's just under the armor piece, and I think that that just looks really good. Now for our final Helldiver, we've got another black one. This one uses a Death Trooper torso, yet again just a black face and black helmet. Black cape, pretty much just fully black, and then the legs are from that Bounty Hunter CMF minifigure. Comment down below which of these Helldivers minifigures is your favorite. But now let's move on to some of the weapons. Our first weapon we're going to take a look at is a very popular one, the Scorcher. For this weapon, I used a binoculars piece for the kind of handle of the gun because I think it works perfect for how the gun looks in game. I was not able to add like the bolts on top just because of how small they are, and just you're limited with Lego. I did get the scope on top though, and back here I just used a 1x1 bracket with a tile. If we grab one of our minifigures, they hold on to it from the back of the binocular piece, just like that. And that is how our minifigure looks holding the Scorcher. This one's probably the most accurate weapon I made in this video. But let's move on to the Diligence. This one was pretty easy to make. I used just a normal Star Wars blaster sniper piece as the base for it, a clip with a tile at the bottom, and then on the end I just put a brick along with this telescope piece for the barrel of the gun. It looks pretty good being held by a minifigure, and it's also really minifigure scale. Now let's take a look at our next weapon. This is the Breaker Incendiary. This one was really difficult to make just because it's a smaller weapon, and there's a lot of little details in here. I tried to include as much orange as I could on this weapon because that is its main color. For the drum mag, I just used this like cylinder piece here on the bottom. On the front, I used this stud with the bar, and I also used this bar piece that has a stud on it for the front kind of handle part. This one was probably the hardest one to build, but I think it turned out really, really nice. Now let's take a look at our final weapon, which is also a very popular item in the game, the autocannon. Now this gun is absolutely massive, and it's not even that oversized in Lego, it's just a big gun in the game. Now of course I do include the little ammo pack that goes on the back of your character, and this is just attached by a black minifigure bracket piece. And then the build for the backpack is really simple, it's just two 2x2 black plates with two 1x2 yellow grill pieces to show like the yellow ammo on it. I tried to pack as many details into the gun as I could. Here's where you grab it. I use this piece right here for a scope. This piece is used to like prop it up. And then over here, this is what you grab to reload it. And then back here, we just got the stock. Like I said, this gun is absolutely massive, but it actually fits to minifigure scale. Now that we've taken a look at all these weapons, let's take a look at the automatons. For our first automaton, we got the Commissioner. Now, even though this one was the smallest, it was probably the hardest to make, just because I had to find the right pieces to be able to build him. Now, you could very easily turn him into just like your average trooper. You just have to replace the machete on his arm with another hand. But in one of his hands, we have just a gun with a stud on the end. And his other hand, like I said, we've got that blade, which I think looks super sick. For his head, I just used one of the Lego Movie robots. His main body is actually using a battle droid body, but I used this other kind of hand piece to hold up the handlebar piece, and that when it's swung down, you can see that how I connected this. But once you swing this up, it kind of acts as like shoulders and a chest. And the head's just connected with this Technic pin, which just goes on the head very easily. For the legs, I just used battle droid arms, and then kind of an illegal building technique here where I took these 1x1 clips and attached them with the battle droid arms to give him some little feet. But now I'm going to show you a little bit of a bigger automaton. This is a Devastator. They are pretty big. If we get one of our Helldivers, you can see he's about maybe 1.5 Helldivers tall. He has tons of posability, his legs can move, and also his arms can move, and like he even has like elbow joints, which is pretty cool. Again, I used a Lego Movie robot head. On one of his arms, he has these two little cannons, and the other, he just has a fist. And probably the most important part of him is this gear on the back, which I simply attached with these two studs, and then they just go into these holes of the gear, which I'm pretty sure is an illegal building technique. For his feet, I just used these studs with these little holes coming out, the same piece I used for the scope on one of the other guns. But like, he's super flexible. He can like do the splits and everything. See, just like that. But now we're gonna go even bigger. This is a Berserker. And if we grab our Helldiver, you can see it is pretty big compared to him. If we go back and grab our Devastator, you can see he's maybe twice as high as he is. And if we just grab our average little automaton, you can see that, and then finally our Helldiver. So let's take a look at him. So he has chainsaws on both arms. To represent that, I just used these Technic pieces. It was probably the hardest part of him, is trying to figure out how to do these. Just like the Devastator, he's pretty posable. His legs can move, he has knee joints, he even has like ankle joints, and even more joints than just that. I mean, he has like 4 joints in his legs. Which means, yes, just like the Devastator, he can do the splits. His arms are also pretty posable, they can swing back and forth real easily, and then he has his elbow joints, which can move as well. For his feet, I just gave him 3 toes. He's got these ones on the front here, and if we flip it around, he's also got some on the back, which they have in game, and it really helps them stand up. Yet again, I used one of the Lego Movie robot heads because I think that they just work really good for automatons. I used some really interesting building techniques in here, especially for attaching the chest. I used a stud with a hole in it, along with this stud with a bar, and if you just put these together, you can have an anti-stud both ways. And I used that to attach the chest piece, so you can see that there's studs on studs, and this just goes right on in, and boom. Now, one of the most notable parts of these guys is their giant spikes coming out of the top of their head, so I had to replicate that. If we flip it around, you can see how I did some of it. It's just some clips on the back here, and then also on the top, there's just some horns and spiky stuff coming out. I also made sure to sprinkle in a lot of that dark red that is seen on them. I even used these sticker pieces from the Infinity War Hulkbuster set. But now that is all of the automatons I built in this video, but we still got a few more things to show off. First off, our Helldivers have to have a way to get down to the surface. So for that, I built one of their hellpods. I made sure to include a lot of details in here, like these flaps on the bottom that can easily be pushed up all around. I even made sure to include these thrusters on 3 of the sides, just like in the game, using these cylinder pieces and these minifigure posing pieces here. Now, sadly, this cannot actually fit a minifigure inside just because of how it is built. It's just not possible. It's a very strange shape because these things are actually octagons, which means that they have 6 sides, which for Lego is very, very difficult, so I had to do a lot of illegal building techniques to be able to pull this off. And this was probably the hardest thing I built in this entire video. The top just has this little point on it, but as you can see, it is very minifigure scale. And it's also pretty durable. I mean, it can be fragile in certain places, but overall it stays together pretty nice. And then the final build of the video, I built one of these supply pods. So this is just like when it's landed, we've got all 3 feet here, and you can easily attach supplies. For example, if we wanted to attach our autocannon, on one side we can put the backpack, and on the other side we can put our autocannon, so that our Helldiver can come up and take it right off. And of course, you could put any of the weapons in this video on this or any other custom ones. The parts I made sure to include in this was the grates on the feet. Another thing I wanted to make sure I included was this ovalish top, and it doesn't even fully clip down on there. It kind of just sits there. I mean, it's like loosely connected, but it can come off real easily. But I think it's a really nice build. The only thing is I wish there wasn't a giant gap in the middle, but just because of how it's built, there kind of has to be. Like I said, you could put any of the weapons on this thing, and they look great. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I really enjoyed building all of these things from Helldivers 2. If you want to see a part 2, like the video and comment down below. Like I said, if this video does good, I will do a part 2. Comment down below what your favorite thing was in this video. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching.